I am Carla Scarabino. I am Chief Development Officer of Tigger House. I'm going to let Michaela introduce herself.
Guys, Michaela Grande, one of the ambassadors here. I'm looking forward to hear Carol speak tonight. I've heard such great things about her from my dad and from Ron. So this is going to be great for all of us. Frankie.
I'm Frankie. I'm a junior at Middletown South, and I'm also excited to hear you speak, and I'll pass it on to Robert.
Hi, I'm Robert. I'm a junior at RFH, and I'm also really excited to hear you speak. Thank you.
No, why don't we have Kaylee? You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, all. I'm Kaylee. I'm 23, and I'm about to start being an ambassador with y'all.
Oh, wonderful.
How about Ben? Hi, Ben.
Hi, my name is Ben. I'm a junior at Raritan School. I'm excited to hear Ms. Carol speak tonight. I'll throw it over to Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm also a junior at Raritan High School. Friend of Ben's, he invited me over here. Quite excited. It is my first time here.
Welcome.
Hello, hello.
You're welcome.
I don't know who to pass it to.
Oh, that's okay. Welcome, Brian. We're so happy to have you. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to pass it to Ella, if that's okay.
Hi, I'm Ella. I'm a sophomore from RBC, and I'm really excited to hear you speak. Matt.
Hey, I'm Matt. I'm a sophomore at RFH, and I will pass it to Kira. I don't know if she's here.
Oh, actually, Kira's not going to make it tonight. She had I think a softball game. So pick somebody else if you want.
I'll pass it to Liz.
Great. Oh, Olivia. Hi, Olivia.
I'm Olivia. I'm a junior at RFH, and I'm really excited to be here. And yeah.
Awesome. How about Allie?
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm a sophomore at Trinity Hall, and I'm also excited to hear you speak. I'll pass it to Kathleen.
Hi, I'm Kathleen, and I'm a junior at Trinity Hall. And I also lost track of who's gone, so whoever wants to go next.
It's okay. Why don't we have Matt Welch? I don't think we heard from Matt yet.
Hey, I'm Matt, and I'm a junior at CBA. I'll pass it to Dan.
Great.
Wait, I lost. Where's Matt? Wait, Matt, who's the junior at CBA?
That's me.
Raise your hand, Matt. There you go.
Okay. I'm interested in all of you, but particularly CBA.
Well, we're going to hear from another one now. We have Dan.
I'll tell you in a little while why.
Okay.
I'm Dan Mooney. I'm also a junior at CBA, and I'm very excited to hear you speak with us today.
Everybody's excited to hear me speak today. They don't know what they're going to get into.
No, they are. And then I think Christina and Bart are still there. They are. Christina's driving.
Hey, everybody. I'm Bart. I actually am on the alumni board at CBA. But I'm happy to hear from you again, Carol. And it's my beautiful, dynamic wife, Christina. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Henderson. I'm an ambassador at Tigger House. And I just love Carol, and I'm so excited. And I think it's going to be a great
You two look very,
talk, and I can't wait to hear.
You look very familiar, you two. I'm sure I've seen you before. Possibly in my office, I think, Christine. You're all over the place. What?
Possibly.
I can't keep track of where you are every day. When did you get back from Florida?
Neither can we.
We got back like a what, a week ago? A week ago?
Yeah, something like
It's
that.
been nonstop since we got back. I'm ready to go back to
We're
Florida.
just leaving an event now.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there you
I
are.
said it's 7. We gotta go. We have to go.
It's good to see you.
So good to see you.
Jamie, do you want to say hello?
Hi, I'm Jamie Jablanowski. I'm a Tigger House ambassador. And Carol, I'm very excited to hear you speak. I used to work at Bayshore, and I've seen you speak at nursing events, and I got those flowers every year, and it was the nicest, I've worked in a lot of hospitals and a lot of different places, and it was always one of those meaningful things of my career. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, there's so much I can say about nurses. I think that they're the first person you see when you walk through the door. It's great to have great medical attention from a doctor, but to me, I feel that the nurses really truly treat you as if you're an extended family member. Without nurses, I'm not sure where we would be today. So, and I love Bayshore. I love all my hospitals, but I love Bayshore.
We have Rich, who I think is cooking dinner. Hope there's some for all of us. Hi, Rich.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Yeah, running a little beat behind today. My name is Rich Kubatosi. I'm one of the ambassadors for the Tigger House Foundation. Yeah, just really excited to hear tonight. And thank you, Carol, for joining us. Much appreciated.
And we have Michael Boulos. Hi, Michael.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Michael. I'm an ambassador here at Tigger House. I live in Red Bank and graduated from Villanova University. And Carol, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
Oh, thank you.
Great. So before we get started, Carol, do one thing. Usually Carly, our addiction navigator, is on the line and she tries to share a recent story of someone she's helping. So she did text me today because she couldn't make the meeting. And she's been working with a young mom who had to have surgery and then unfortunately got addicted to painkillers that she was on. But Carly was able to get her into detox and able to get her the help she needed. And she received a text from her today. And this is great because it just goes a long way about saying when you're there for someone and you help them, sometimes you think you're doing nothing, but you really do change your life. And she was enjoying the beautiful day. And she said, "You should know that you changed my life and directed me to a wonderful facility for help. I've never felt better. One day I hope to pay it forward. May God always bless you and your family." So, again, when you guys reach out and offer someone help, you never know, it really could change their lives. So that's a little message from Carly. And now we could get started. Before we do, I don't even know how to introduce Ms. Stillwell. I don't even know. There's so much I could say, but it was funny. I was doing some homework and I was reading an article. It's a little older, but they quoted, this was a quote, "She who leaves a trail of glitter is never forgotten." And I just thought, wow, that totally sums it all up. I'm going to let Carol talk about whatever she wants to talk about, because I think she probably has so many things she could talk about from her years in business as a businesswoman, starting in an industry that was male dominated and now her being such a force at Stillwell-Hansen, her philanthropy, her words of wisdom. I think there's so many things we're going to be able to learn from her today. So I'm not even going to try to introduce her. I'm going to let her introduce herself. And I do hope that you guys feel free to ask questions or, get involved or ask for clarification. I'm sure Carol wouldn't mind if you jumped in at any point if you want to hear more about something. So without further ado, Carol Stillwell.
Well, thank you so much, Carla. First of all, I want to say thank you. As I think about my journey in my life, many times people will reach out to me and say, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for reaching out or giving or doing whatever you do. The thanks really comes from my heart back to each person that gives me that opportunity to do something, because it's something that without reaching out and touching someone, you don't know. And it's a small little gesture. And I was taught that from a very young age. And so I'll give you a little bit of my journey. I promise I won't take up 74 years of it, but I'll try to cut through it. But when I was a young girl growing up, my mother was a waitress and my father a mason. And my mom worked 2 jobs to put clothes on my sister and my back. My father also worked 2 jobs, and we were poor, but we had a lot of love in our home. And when I was growing up, my mother gave me some very good advice. And she said to me, Carol, one thing I want you to always remember as you travel through your journey in your life. She said, I want you to remember that you must always, always have the confidence to believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you'll never, ever sell it to anybody else. And she said, in your journey in your life, you will learn so much. Never be afraid to take a step and even make a mistake, because in those steps that you make mistakes, you will learn so much from that. And I coined a phrase later in my life about that statement that my mother made to me. And that was that life is like a GPS. It's always recalculating our route. Did you ever go down a road and it says detour? And you go, oh my gosh, there's a roadblock and it says detour, please turn right. And you go, oh, I don't want to go down that road because I only know this road. You have no choice and you have to go down the detour. And life is like a GPS. It's always recalculating our route. Two things happen in that recalculation in your journey. Trust me when I tell you, you'll go down the road that you didn't want to go down, but you had no choice because there was a detour. And you'll say, oh my goodness, I never realized what a beautiful road this is. I never realized that there's such beautiful ponds and trees and parks. I can't wait to go down this road again. The other road is, oh my God, I hope I never have to go down that road again. I know one thing, I will never ever try to make that mistake again. But in making mistakes, you learn things. That's the only way I've gotten to where I am today in my life. I, as a young girl, wanted to be in my own business. And as I said, we were poor. My mom was a waitress, my father was a mason, and there was no money for college, none. And so when I started, many of you, even your parents weren't born yet when I started in this business. This is my 51st year with Stillwell-Hansen. And I started as a secretary at $105 a week, 51 years ago. And I moved up to become an office manager, then a director of operations. And there came a time in my journey that I had an opportunity to buy the business. In fact, all of the employees that were here had an opportunity to buy the business. And those employees said that they didn't think they needed to buy something that they created, that they created the success of the business. And so they said that they didn't feel that they needed to buy it, they created it. My philosophy was that I worked for Stillwell-Hansen, but I didn't create the business. Gordon Stillwell and Paul Hansen created the business, but they gave me the opportunity to succeed. So I made a decision to go to the bank and borrow $1 million from the bank. Well, I actually borrowed $500,000 and I emptied my 401k, and I didn't know how I'd pay it back, but I had enough confidence because my mother told me, believe in yourself. If that's your dream and that's where you want to go, hold on to the dream and hold on for the ride, because you never know where you're going to land. Just hold on. And I bought the business from Paul Hansen. And those very salespeople and associates, 30 years later, are all with me. And they are in their right position because it was the right decision for them not to buy the business. They contribute to the sales of the business, and that's where they belong. The journey and the mission and the vision was something that I wanted to create. I wanted to create an organization that could have people realize their hopes and dreams and wishes, just like my mother told me I could if I believed in myself. And through that journey, the average person with me today is with me 29 years. We have a little under 80 employees, and the average person is with me 29 to 30 years. And I remember one of my salesmen, his dream when he was 23 was to own a home on the water. And he owns a beautiful home on the Navasink. And another one of my salespeople, what he wanted was to have a horse farm. And he wanted to be able to buy a horse farm so that his wife could run this horse farm. And she has that horse farm, and she also set up a non-for-profit called Helping Hearts, and she takes and rescue horses. So besides running her little horse business. So in this journey in my life, what I have found is that the greatest joy that I've gotten out of meeting and being involved with people is the philanthropy about giving back. And at first, when I thought about the word philanthropy and giving back, I used to think, well, gee, that's about giving money. No, philanthropy is about giving, and giving. The greatest gift that you can give is the time that each and every one of you, the volunteers, the ambassadors, you're all giving your time. You know, I know, Bart, Christina, you know what you do every day. I watch you do it every day. And your time is your most precious gift. We know when we arrived here, but we don't know when we're leaving. You know, you can have a bank account, but the bank account is just, it's just dollars. We have to remember that when we get to where we're going, to never forget where we came from. Very, very key. So that when I look at each and every one of you, you're all going to be challenged in your life. You're going to be tested and you're going to be challenged, and you're going to fail and make missteps along the way. It's the only way that you learn. In making a misstep is how you learn. And never be so hard on yourself to focus on the misstep, because you'll make them. Trust me, I can share. We don't have the hours for me to tell you about all the missteps I made along the way, but I can tell you in those missteps, they will carry you forward into the journey and where you want to be today. You know, Celie, I know you look at where you are. I'm telling you how proud I am of you too, my young lady. I was just with you. I was just with her on Sunday. We were at a baby shower, and you did a 5K. Aren't you doing a triathlon, right? Or right?
I did a 5K on Sunday morning. Right. But yeah, we are doing the triathlon over the summer.
Right. Yeah. That's quite exciting. So,
Thank
but I'm very proud. I'm proud, first of all, of the ambassadors and each of the students that are here today. And I've met a lot of wonderful people. Like I talk about ICC, Ron and Portico. When he decided to go into business with his partner, Bob Dursky, he met with me and he said, Carol, I don't know, can I do this? I said, if you don't believe in yourself, you'll never sell it to anybody else. So you better believe in yourself. And that is over 30, I think he's over 30 some odd years in business, and they have a wonderful business. And it's been challenging. It's been challenging for all of us. But I have to say to each and every one of you, never forget where you came from, and always remember to give back, and never ever punish yourself for mistakes along the way, because those are the lessons of life that you're going to learn, you know. So that's a little bit about my journey in life. But the things that I wanted to talk to you too about is about actually being able to give back philanthropically of your time, volunteering your time, because you're going to meet so many people along the way that you will never even know as you're volunteering your time and giving back to community service or whatever it is that you do. You're going to meet some great people that may become your mentors, your best friends, your future employer. You just don't know along the way. It's been an exciting journey for me. And I often say to myself, because I will be 75 in October, I often say, thank you, God, you know, thank you. Thank you for the journey. I've seen and done more things in my life than I would have ever hoped or dreamed of. And if tomorrow it was to be gone or ended, I would say I've been blessed. I truly have been. To take this time to share with you my journey and my story, I want to thank you. I want to thank each and every one of you, from the ambassadors to the students to each and every one of you. There are people here that I know give their time every day. I'm looking right at you. And so for me, I feel very humbled to even be having this conversation today. But that's a little bit of what I have to say. I don't know. This is if there's any questions somebody wants to ask of me, you know, whatever it be. Do I own any horses? Do I have a favorite pet at home? You know.
Tell us about the horses, Carol. Tell us.
I do have a few horses. Yeah, I do. I have a horse farm. Actually, the horse farm in Colts Neck I bought because I competed back up until 2008. I didn't start riding horses until I was about 47 or 48. A, because I didn't have the money to buy the horses, and B, I then didn't have the time. But then I did, and I bought this farm. And in 2008, we lost a lot of family members. My mother passed away. She had a good life. She passed away at age 81. In St. Patrick's Day of 08. And then my late husband, Gordon, passed away November 1st of 08. And then my father, December 4th of 09. And then my sister's husband in 2010. And then my twin sister became ill with stage 4 colon cancer. She's a survivor today. She was diagnosed in 2012 and is a survivor yet today. And so I stopped riding because you're involved with your family members. They're either sick or you're taking care of them at the hospital or doing whatever. So you don't get on a horse and jump 4-foot fences and not be distracted by things. And I fell off a few times. I've had 7 concussions, 8 broken ribs, pins in my knees, pins in my shoulders from riding horses, because I was very competitive. And I also used to race cars. I used to race E-stock automatic. I had a 62 old Starfire, set the points, plugs, and timing all myself. I think I got started in that because I fell in love with this boy in 9th grade, and all he did was tune up cars. So the only way I could talk to him was to get under the car with him and tune up the car. So I learned how to tune my car up and race cars and do things like that. And then I also competed in riding, and actually went to Madison Square Garden and rode in Madison Square Garden, and went to Columbus, Ohio, and I won the Rider of the Year out of 186 horses in the class. I won the class, and I was the oldest rider in the class. So there isn't anything you can't achieve if you put your mind to it and you want to work hard. So it's a little bit of what I've done in my journey. But I think the thing that's really brought me so much joy is being able to share this time, being able to share my journey a little bit, and talk about the things that I've done and the people I've met along the way, because I learned so much just by sitting and talking with people and sharing their stories and sharing my stories. So I thank you, all of you, for taking your time. I tell you a little bit about Stillwell-Hansen, though. Today, I said we started in 1969, and I was a secretary at $105 a week, and worked my way all the way up till I took that $500,000 loan and emptied my 401k, and for $1 million bought the partner out. And I guess the good news about it is nobody can fire me because I own the company. So that's a good thing, you know. So sometimes I want to move the title and give it to somebody else, but they really don't. They're happy doing whatever they're doing. But one of the things, and why I wanted my own company, was so that I could see people realize their hopes and dreams. But I also wanted it because I wanted to be able to give back philanthropically of my time, my resources, my money, mentorship. All of that was important to me. I wanted to build a company and not forget where I came from, because that was the advice my mom gave me. Never forget where you came from. And you didn't get there by accident. There were a lot of people that helped me along the way. So as I look at each and every one of you, number one, I thank you, the ambassadors. I thank you, the students. And I want you to dream and believe in where it is you'd like to be someday. And remember that life is like a GPS. Sometimes it hits a detour. Don't worry about it. You'll learn something from that detour along the way. So that's a little bit of what I have to say. I don't know if there's any questions anybody wants to ask of me, or I'm happy to.
Question.
Sure.
Yeah, so my boyfriend Tom is sitting here. I just want to introduce him so you see his shoulder. But we talk a lot about how, he's a lawyer and we both have busy careers, but we talk a lot about how important hobbies are, and it seems like you have like a plethora of different interests. So I would just love to hear more about how you made it work, and if it was worth it to make because we talk a lot about trying to prioritize hobbies and all of our different interests and music and art, and it's kind of your experience trying to balance a very strong career, and also all of the the fun stuff too.
Well, that's true. It is a balance, and I can tell you, I have one child. We talk about CBA. My son is Coach Belford, so he coaches the crew team at CBA, and I was told that I would not be able to become pregnant, and obviously I have one son, and I did become pregnant. And Coach Belford has just turned 45, and when I was 29 years old and working for Stillwell, I knew I wanted to own my own business. This was going to be my career. Now at 29, God gave me the gift of a nice young little boy, and every day we had an office building in Union, and it was up 3 flights of stairs. And in the morning, I went to work in the morning for somebody in that building from 7 to 9. Then I worked from 9 to 5 at Stillwell-Hansen. Then I worked from 6 to 10 at a music store called Rondo Music. And that's what I did for several years before I had Scott, but before that I was able to buy my first home. I worked from 7 to 9 in that office building for somebody else, then from 9 to 5 in for Stillwell-Hansen, then 6 to 10 at a music store. I saved enough money to buy my own first home. It was actually in Roselle Park on Filbert Street. It was just a little 600 square foot house. And then I became pregnant with Scott, and we couldn't afford babysitters, and there was no money for nursery school. So Scott would come to work. I would put a playpen right next to my desk, and there was like a little adjoining room, and that's how my journey started. That's how the balance of it. Because what happens is you hit a road. That's like hitting that roadblock that I said. All of a sudden you go, oh my goodness, I finally have a career path. And now I didn't think I'd become pregnant. Now I have a little baby. Now what am I going to do? I can't afford a babysitter. I said to Gordon Stillwell and Paul Hansen, I need to work. And so he said, bring the playpen in. And Scott was in that little playpen for probably 2 years, 3 years, until finally things changed around a little bit. And I was able to, buy my own home, and we had Scott's grandma babysit a little bit, and we moved along in that journey. But even in my journey in business, as we moved along, and I always set goals for myself, I knew that I wanted to own the business. I certainly didn't own the business in 1969. I bought the partner out in 1995, and I took a loan to buy the partner out. He wanted to retire, and after I bought him out, I then was challenged with the fact that I had basically a $500,000 loan to pay off, and the economy had really hit us very hard. Not just Stillwell-Hansen, but it was a very difficult time for the economy. We as a company were doing, let's say, $30 million a year in sales. That's sales. That's not money of revenue. That's the sales that you're doing. And we went from $30 million to $9 million a year. And I said, I don't know how we'll survive. I just don't know how we'll survive. And that was 30 years. That was 35 years ago. And we're still here today. So obviously we survived along that journey. One of the things that you learn, you just keep shifting. It's like moving the little pieces of the chessboard. You just move it left, you move it right a little bit, and you try to adapt. We then, I ultimately, my first husband had passed away, and I then ultimately married Gordon Stillwell. In 1988, we married, and in 93, in 88, we bought $1 million home. We bought $1 million home in Homedale, and our business took a very severe impact. And I said to Gordon, we have to sell the house, and we sold the house. We did not lay off one employee. I've never laid off an employee ever. We sold the house. It was $1 million house. It was just a house, and we moved in with my sister. And we moved in and lived with my sister for about 6 or 7 months, 8 months. Economy turned around a little bit. And we then bought a little townhouse in Bow Ridge. And you adapt. You just keep adapting and believing and just believing. And believe me when I tell you, if you think there weren't days that I went home and put my head on my pillow and cried a tear. And then I kick myself and say, okay, you've cried enough, get over it, and let's move on from there. And that's a little bit of the journey. And they bought the house in Bow Ridge, and I'm still there today. And the business is here. As a matter of fact, right now, I can share with you, we are being so challenged right now in business because we can't get product. We have all kinds of orders. All kinds of orders. I was just sharing that with you today, Carla. We have all kinds of orders, but we can't get the products shipped because of the COVID. So what's happened with COVID is that the manufacturers stop producing. You can't get lumber, you can't get sheet metal, you can't get components to things. So now we have all these orders, but we can't enter the orders. You can't enter the orders. You can't build a customer. Can't build a customer for a product you can't ship. So you're challenged now with the fact that you have a line of credit that's based on the amount of billing you do. And then you're also faced with the fact that you get paid commission on products that are shipped from the factory, and the factory can't ship products. They don't have any products because they can't. And it's probably going to last another, probably I would say till September, then it'll turn around. The lead times on our products used to be 3 weeks and they're 17 weeks now. So we have to figure out, what do we do? What do I do in the company? How do I make sure that everybody is still here doing, getting their paycheck? And through all of the COVID that has happened, we have never once laid a person off. And we're struggling with that right now. But I will do whatever I can not to do that. So those are some of the challenges. I don't know, Jamie, if that's answered some of your questions, but
Hey, Carol, I have a question.
Sure.
How do you choose not just, philanthropically and volunteers, how do you choose what organizations to get involved with? And beyond that, how do you choose what to say no to, and how do you say no? And it's a question that we struggle with all the time. And so how do you go through that process?
Well, I'm gonna give you a quote that my late husband, Gordon, said to me once. In fact, I was 60 years old when he made this statement to me. And I'm now going to be 75. Gordon passed away, but he was 81 when he passed away. And he said, Carol, some people learn earlier in life and some people learn later in life. And we were talking about this very subject about being philanthropic. And we were married we worked together for 33 years and were married 20. And I remember him saying to me, Carol, well, he had two quotes. You'll have to stay with me with this one. Don't cast your pearls before the swine. And I had to think about that a minute. It seemed a little, let me think. Well, pearls are precious and swine are pigs. So let me see, don't cast your pearls before the swine. And so what he meant was, Carol, he said, you, my dear Carol, have the ability to see all people the same. And I admire you for that. He said, but not everybody is the same. And if you give all of your time, your money, your emotion, your mentorship equally to the pearls and the swine, at some point you're going to run out of something. You're going to have to make a decision to identify the difference between the swine and the pearls. And then he followed that statement by saying, but my dear Carol, having known you so long, some people learn earlier in life and some people learn later. Unfortunately, my dear Carol, it takes you a long time to learn, but you'll get there. And I will tell you, Bart, that even to this day, I'll answer the question about saying no, because I don't know how to say no. And I'm going to have to learn how to say no. I don't. No matter how I have to figure it out, there's a part of me that feels compelled when I'm aware of somebody having a need, whatever that need is, that I feel that I have to help. But Gordon's point is well taken. You really have to try to think about the needs and identify them and separate them. I find the different charities and nonprofits, everyone gives me the same advice that Gordon did. You have to be selective. But they want me to be selective about as long as they're inclusive of my remaining with them. They'll say, Carol, you just give too much to too many people. Carol, you belong to too many boards. Carol, you're a trustee of too many different organizations. As long as I remain on theirs. So it is a very hard thing to make a decision, and I'm still struggling with that to this day. I can tell you my days are so filled between the office, because I don't micromanage my people. I believe that when you hire people here, that they don't need to be micromanaged. I don't want to be a micromanager. I want somebody to come to work here and be passionate and excited about what they're doing. And if we're not the right place, I don't. You should never work somewhere where you don't feel that you're not always excited every day that you get up, but more times than not, you want to be excited about what you do. But to answer your question, Bart, I don't know. I do struggle very much. I'm on the board. I'll be honest with you. I can think about it. Tigger House, CFC Loud and Clear, the Bay Sea Theater, the YMCA, Hackensack Meridian Hospitals, all the foundation board for all 17 hospitals, Monmouth Medical, the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, 180 Turning Lives Around, the Collier School, Lunch Break, Fulfill. I could go on. I'm on all of them, and it is now, even for me. This was when I was asked to do this. It was an honor, because I wanted to hope to share some of my wisdom. Some of it, please do not listen to, because I've obviously failed along the way. Although I did give you some good advice. The way you learn is through failing. But sometimes you have to do what's right for yourself. I don't know if that answers your question, Bart, but it's hard. It's hard for me to say no, even to this day. I mean, I have an event tomorrow. I have an event on Wednesday. In addition to trying to figure out how we're going to start to create billing here at Stillwell-Hansen, so that everybody's here and we're all happy and doing the things we want to do. But that's kind of my answer.
I think in your answer, one thing you had said is you can't do so much that it's starting to hurt you. And like you're saying, things to do at Stillwell-Hansen. I mean, we feel that sometimes. We're saying, oh, we got to get POs and invoices out and things like that, but we got events to go to and things like that. And I guess at some point you do have to look at it from that standpoint.
There's no question. I question myself lots of times every day, but it's hard for me. This is a big part of what my personality is. And it's at least being aware of it helps. I mean, being aware of where you need to focus on trying to make some adjustments. I came off of the board of Monmouth University, and I served 9 years, and you come off the board. And I had President Leahy call me 6 months ago and say to me, Carol, he said, the board met, and we're really missing the energy. And I'm just quoting his words. When you're here, there's so much energy. You kind of like just inspire everybody. Yeah. And we've never asked somebody after they've served their 9 years to come back in the same capacity again. Will you please come back? I mean, and I love Monmouth University. I mean, I truly love Monmouth University, and I love working with the students that we would send to Guatemala. And I focused on that every year, and I still send them to this day. We make a contribution and we send them there. I don't know. You're right. As I said, I have all the way through Friday, I have different events going on. Some for work, some for the non-for-profit. So, but maybe I'll figure it out when I'm 90. Maybe I'm not sure. If I'm here, maybe. So, anybody else have any questions?
Any of our students, any questions?
Yes. It's fine. I'm fine. I've done a lot of talking, and let's see. Yeah, it's been 45, almost 45 minutes or so. Yeah.
This was wonderful. I guess the last parting thing I would like to ask you is, when you were in high school, I mean, you gave us a lot of great advice. Do you have maybe one last piece for our high school students, especially that are, juniors and seniors and getting ready to graduate and begin, some of their lives? Anything else you'd like to offer them as a last?
It's so interesting, because when I was in high school, and I remember my high school years pretty vividly. I didn't belong to any one group, meaning I just open myself up to everybody. So, and I'll share a little story about high school. I loved student government. So you started when you were in 8th grade in student government, or if you wanted to be involved in it, but you couldn't run for president of the school, not your class, the school, until you were a senior. And came the senior year, and my mother was president of the Democratic Club years ago. And now the senior year of high school came, and it's my turn. Now I'm going to run for president of the school. And I was very excited. My mother was my campaign manager. But I was a little disappointed because nobody was running against me. So she said, well, Carol, you still have to tell the school the platform that you stand on and why you believe, you know. I said, okay, whatever. And then one day I walked in the house, and my mother said, what's wrong with you? I said, well, we're done. She said, what do you mean we're done? Well, don't even bother making the campaign posters for me because we're done. She said, well, there's nobody running against you. No, there is, Mom. Well, who's running against you? The captain of the cheerleading squad is running against me. So, you know, what does she do in student government? She's never been in student government. She was too busy socializing, but she just figured she's running against me and she's the captain of the cheerleading squad. And my mother, who was a very wise woman, waitress, you know, worked 2 jobs, looked at me. And when my mother was angry or wanted my attention, she would say, Carol Ann, and my name is Carol Ann, but she always called Carol Ann, let me tell you something. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll never sell it to anybody else. Do you think that the captain of the cheerleading squad represents the mean average of the student body? Or do you think you do? And I said, Mom, you make a good point. And when I got up to make my speech to run against the captain of the cheerleading squad, I remember getting up and saying that if you want somebody to represent you that represents each and every one of you, and not just one small group of people, then please vote for me. And I won by a landslide. My mother was very wise. So, and it was a pretty interesting experience. But getting back to what you were saying about my high school years, I think I always knew in high school, but I knew what I wanted to do. From the time I was young, my father was a mason, and I used to go and mix the mortar of the cement. He built homes, and I would do the stairs with him. And I knew I wanted to be in contracting. I knew it. And in 1969, women were not accepted in contracting. You could be a secretary, a court recorder. You could do things. You could be a waitress. You could do those things, but don't go into the contracting world. And I would remember focusing on the words that my mother said, to have the courage to believe in yourself and to follow your dreams, and never let anybody tell you that you can't do something that you truly want to do. Work hard at it. You know, take some steps along the way that may be left or right, like the GPS that I told you. But the advice that I would give you is, you may not even, and it is like a GPS, what you think you may want to do today as you leave high school may be totally different a year from now, 2 years from now. And there's nothing wrong with changing your direction. Nothing wrong with that. It's just another decision. And the advice that I can say to you is that just believe in yourself, follow what it is you believe you want to do, and don't question yourself if in fact you say, well, I thought that's what I wanted to do. Do I really know what I want to do? I'm changing my mind. It's okay to change your mind. Work hard at what you do, find great mentors, and move on in your life and your career. Come visit me someday. I'll walk you around Stillwell-Hansen. I'll walk you around. We talked about the farm a little bit. When I stopped riding, interestingly, I then had a young lady come in that had a special needs riding program for children with autism and cerebral palsy, because I had this beautiful farm. This young lady had a need and didn't have the money at that point in time. So she came to the farm, and I let her use the farm. And then I encouraged her to go into another part of the riding business where she could generate a revenue besides her non-for-profit. And today she's a successful young woman that has a beautiful farm that she rents and still runs her program for autism and cerebral palsy. So it's interesting, your journey and where it takes you. So that's some of my advice.
Anyone else before we break? Carol, this was amazing. So inspiring. I could listen to you every day. I love that you really took life and did everything you wanted to do. I want to thank our students for getting on tonight. I want to thank our ambassadors. And most importantly, I want to thank you, Carol, for joining us. Thank you for giving your time to us.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I know you. Thank you for everything you do.
We appreciate
everybody.
it. Thank you, guys. Have
Thank
a
you
great
so
week
much,
at school,
Carol.
everybody.
This is amazing. I always love hearing you speak, Carol. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, honey.
you,
Thank
Carol.
you so much. Enjoy Florida. Go tell Mickey I said hi.
Thank you. Always. Always.
I've got my box over here. I've got my Mickey over here. I do. It's right over here. Enjoy.
Yes.
Thank you so much for giving me the time and the opportunity to talk with each and every one of you. And touch base with me once in a while. Let me know how you're all doing, okay?
We definitely will. We'll definitely share that with our students.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great
See you
week.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye,
everybody.
friends at
Carol.
ICC. Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye, Seal. Bye, everybody.